Thank you. I almost forgot. I'm gonna wait 2 seconds and just see if this is Sam. Yes. Then we don't have to see her.
I feel like I'm being stared at.
We can do a roll call.
No problem.
Oh, sorry, I'll call the meeting to order first.
You have 20 seconds.
I'll call this meeting to order of the Committee of the Whole, August 4th, 2026, 7 p.m., Council Chambers. Can I have a roll call, please?
Isbell.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Colling.
Here.
Stubby.
Here.
Claviter.
Here.
Sorensen.
Here.
Everyone's here.
Thank you. We have no virtual attendees. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll move on to number 4, general public comments. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak. First, we'll have Bruce. Bruce, state your name and address, please.
My name is Bruce Pesky. I live at 151 South Washington. Now that's on the corner of South Washington, Southwest Resco, and I wanted to speak a little bit on the issue of the e-bikes and the scooters. This year especially, I've noticed numerous kids flying through that intersection. They don't stop, they don't slow down, they don't even look. I've seen numerous vehicles going north and southbound on Washington, slam on the brakes, trying, making sure they don't hit them kids. My wife and I even went and talked to Chief Paulemacher a couple months ago to tell him what was going on there and our concerns that someone was going to get hit or worse. So it's definitely an issue, and it hasn't been getting any better. So just my observation.
Sure. Thanks, Bruce. Next, Sherry. If you can state your name and your address, please.
Hi, Sherry Roxbury, 217 West Berlin Street. I'm here about the e-bikes. I get it. They're a pain to everybody. But this is the day and the age of these kids. They can't even have school if there's no internet. So we're gonna try to punish them because they have e-bikes and e-scooters. No. I think what we need to do is treat these just like every other bike. They need to follow the rules. They need to ride single file. Scooter, I've seen that too much, and that's an accident. We need to teach these children how to do this, because I don't think they were taught the proper way. Brake, turn signals, brake lights on these e-bikes would make a big difference too. We've done it with our grandson's e-bike, and I think it would be a good way for people to realize these kids are slowing down and they're turning, because some of them do follow the rules. And I get it, some don't, and I see it all day long. But to threaten them and harass them because they're on an e-bike is not acceptable. We have had the officer that lives down by the locks, which is a Green Lake sheriff, threaten him and his friend on an e-bike. They don't even want to go to the locks fishing anymore because he had pulled them over and had a Berlin cop come talk to them for doing nothing wrong. He even told him, you didn't do anything wrong, we're gonna have an officer talk to you anyway. Why? If they didn't do anything wrong, leave them alone. That's what is wrong with this today. Kids need to be kids. They need to learn from their mistakes with our help. Pass this. Maybe put a bike lane in for you don't want them on the sidewalk, you don't want them on the road, put a bike lane in. Give them the option to ride safely. That is,
Thank you. And if you plan on sticking around, you guys can see that it's on the agenda tonight, so we are discussing it.
okay.
On to number 5, which is the approval of the minutes. Looking for approval of the minutes from the July 7th Committee of the Whole meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 7th. I'll second that.
Motion by Victoria, second by Terry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is number 6, the cemetery board request to apply to ARPNet, the Arboretum Accreditation Program, Level 1 Arboretum status. The recommendation is to listen to the presentation and discussion and action as appropriate. Nancy.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. My name is Nancy Jimenez. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the president of the Oakwood Cemetery Board. And like Katrina said, we're here to kind of discuss Oakwood Cemetery potentially becoming a level 1 accredited arboretum. So in your packet, there is this sheet which kind of explains our line of thinking and how this came to be. And so basically, look at a little background. Oakwood Cemetery was Berlin's first cemetery, established around 1850. It contains a beautiful hilly landscape flanked by water-filled quarries that are privately owned and is home to much wildlife. There are currently approximately 500 trees there, but in the recent past, we had 60 ash trees die, and those needed to be removed because of the emerald issue that occurred several years ago. So because of that significant loss, and because the last tree survey that had been done was back in 2005, the board at the time decided to have ranger services, their arborists, come and redo the tree survey. That was in 2024. So this included cataloging every tree carefully and its species in the cemetery and much more, including a plan to prioritize maintenance needs for the existing trees and a plan for planting more trees for long-term management. The 2025 survey found that even though there are 500 trees up there, which sounds like a lot, 87% of them were at maturity, over maturity, or near. At that time, there were 23 species. However, out of those 23 species, 62% of them were either maple or arborvitae. So Ranger noted that diversity is the key to a healthy population. And as we saw with the emerald ash borer, we can see how one disease can decimate entire species up there. It also noted that while the trees were generally well maintained, there was some evidence of improper pruning, which could be remedied with maybe like a training class on proper pruning cuts. While it's hard to assign a price to the collection of trees up there, in 2005, Ranger estimated it to be over $500,000, which by today's standards would be even more. So we'd like to protect our investment and maybe increase it. But more than monetary value, it's the value to the environment, the wildlife, and our own residents that I think this should go through. After the cemetery board reviewed the 2025 tree survey results, it became evident that because of the loss of the ash trees and the extensive mature population, efforts were necessary to replenish trees that were lost and start diversifying a little bit more. And that's when the idea of becoming an arboretum came to fruition. And arboretum, if anybody is not familiar with it, is basically just a living museum of trees and woody shrubs grown and cared for by an organization committed to their stewardship. It not only serves as a beautiful place to explore and enjoy, but it provides vital community resources for personal wellness, education, conservation, and research, and provides all those things you see listed below, and a protected green space, an optimal serene location for relaxation, walking, and other activities like bird watching. Can be used as an outdoor classroom to educate students, as well as offer other educational programming to adults. It supports wildlife. We know that more trees equals cleaner air and water, and it helps to cool the environment. And it can really be a good venue for local homeowners to be able to know what they're planting in their yard so they know what they're getting into. Cemeteries are specifically a great place for arboretum because they allow trees to grow to their full potential. Unlike in cities where you have power lines and other encumbrances that often prevent it from growing completely the way it's intended to be. And of course, it's a great environment if it's kept upright for grieving visitors, especially those with loved ones that are buried there. So in my mind, becoming a level 1 arboretum is the next logical step, as we're already doing most of the work that's required. And we're going to probably continue doing all those things even if we aren't allowed to become an arboretum. Main thing to know is there's no cost to this. The tree survey has already been completed before we even thought of this. The arboretum plan is in place, trees are labeled, brochure has been created. The application I've gone through and largely filled out most of what we need. I'll need some guidance from the city if we do go through with this. So really it just needs to be reviewed, some things filled in, and then we can submit it. So when you have a level 1 arboretum, there needs to be a public dimension. And our cemetery is ideal for that because we are open to the public. And we have a beautiful, largely unused but functional historic chapel up there, which lends itself to presentations and talks on everything but specifically tree related. We would hope to provide at least one presentation per year in addition to our self-guided walking tree tour. This opportunity could help Berlin stand out in a unique way as there are no accredited arboretum closer than Appleton or Milwaukee. Becoming accredited is an boost donations and bequests. It enhances visibility, opens opportunities for grant funding, and builds trust with grant agencies and major donors. Becoming accredited demonstrates our commitment to professionalism. If our cemetery board is allowed to move forward with this process, we will be accredited by the Morton Arboretum, which is located in Illinois, also known as ArbNet, and will be one of 12 in Wisconsin Arboreta. And then I put the information there in case anybody wants to do more investigating. So also in your packet is the application and how I've got it filled out. You'll know that there are some things that I'm just not sure of and would need the city's input on that. Also, there is the brochure that we've created. This is for the walking tour. This would be put up by the kiosk that we have in back of the chapel, so this wouldn't require any staff commitment. People could just find the tour. The trees will be labeled by not only lot number, but by species. And then I also did have Brittany place a copy of the webpage for Appleton's Riverside Cemetery. That is on ArbNet, so ours would most likely look very similar to that. So I just wanted to fill you in on what we're thinking and see if you had any questions.
I do.
Lacking knowledge. Is this an active cemetery as in people are still being interred?
Yes.
What is the likelihood that some of your arboretum space in future years have to be removed for gravesites?
No, this is something we've been doing for years. So up till this point, and I don't know what they did before I was president, but I know they were committed to planting X amount of trees. Right now, we're just doing about 6 a year. But there are places, you know, the sexton knows where things can go. They're aware of also the type of species. Some trees are more invasive as far as their root systems and that. But there's plenty of space up there, and I would encourage anybody hasn't been up there, it's really a beautiful area to go through. And if we have like an open house, which we had, and I know some people stopped up there, it's a great piece of our history.
I've driven up there, it's really wonderful, I saw the white deer and everything was pretty cool. How would you protect, let's say there was a service going on in the cemetery at that time, how would you protect those people from just say the average visitor or someone?
Right. So I think really there's not a whole lot different that we'd be doing than what we're already doing, except it might be a little bit more, people might know about it more. So maybe there would be a few more people up there. On the brochure, I did put a little caution that people need to be respectful, that this is a cemetery, that some visitors may be grieving, be respectful of them and their loved one, gravesite at all times. So between that and scheduling events, not on days where there is going to be a burial or after the time would be important. And that would be Joe and Brittany and I probably having communication about that to prevent.
Last question, I noticed your application said that at least one event per year.
Mhm.
Do you currently hold events, or is that something you would have to plan if you became an arborist?
Right,
Okay.
nothing right now specific to trees. Like I said, we just had an open house kind of on the historic nature of the chapel. But we would like to do more things up there to engage the community more than even the tree. But that all takes effort and time, so this is where we're starting our efforts.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I love the idea of it.
Oh, good.
And I know Brittany and I had talked a little bit and, talking us through, the right channels, and either way, I think it's a great idea. Anything to, bring a little positive spotlight to Berlin, nothing can hurt. But I also love the idea of having the ranger services and, having that, the plan done. You said it was done in 2005, but nothing
Yes, we did it in 2024 because of the loss of the trees and
Okay.
everything. We thought we need to see where we're at now 20 years later, and that's when we were like, ooh.
Yep. I love the idea of it. We are, as long as nobody else has any questions, we're just looking for a motion then for, the cemetery board.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the common council to direct the Oakwood Cemetery Board and staff as to complete and submit the ARDNet application to create a level 1 arboretum within the Oakwood Cemetery.
Second. Motion by Terry, second by Missy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Do we want to add that second one in there?
I'll make a motion to recommend to common council the approval of the arboretum brochure.
I'll second.
Motion by Jamie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who will I be working with you, Jesse, with the application to make sure that the correct information gets on there that should be?
Yep, and if I don't know, reach out to Scott.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you.
I am going to move up our bicycle talk, number 11, next, so that you all don't have to sit and listen through our insurance spiel. You can thank me later for that one.
But insurance.
I know, it's so much fun. Okay, so then we're gonna bump up, number 11, bicycle, electric bicycles, and electric scooters, the proposed amendments to chapter 70, article 3 of the Code of Ordinances. The recommendation is to review proposed ordinance amendments and action as appropriate. So we started talking about this. Now I gotta jump through my packet. So we were given
we presented Nina, and then shortly after, Amro has just also been discussing, their ordinance. And then we also had some from Schwabenon, but we all see this in the news, this is nothing new to us, with the change of technology. Our ordinances haven't exactly kept up with the technology change. Does anybody have anything to start with before we dig in?
Yeah, so at our last meeting, I was unsure of why we were differentiating between gas-powered and electric-powered. And I did my research in the interim and discovered basically the different, and these are delineated in here, but the different classes of class 1, class 2, class 3, and why the gas-powered ones have been omitted or made illegal by some cities, and that has to do with the fact that they're no longer controlled by pedaling, but that there's a gas pedal. They included that there's an additional danger with carrying around gasoline as far as making it explosive. There's additional danger with the fact that most of these e-bikes, particularly those powered by gas, the brake systems fail because the brake systems are not set up for a motorized speed. So they're set up for a bike, which can go pretty fast downhill, but it's not set up for something that's powered by motor. And so what's happening is some of these bikes that can exceed 28 miles per hour, they're not stopping in time. In fact, there was, and I'm gonna get the city wrong, I think it was, I'm not even gonna try to guess at the city, but recently here nearby in Wisconsin, there was a 4-year-old run over at a playground by an e-bike and got a concussion. And that was because the student could not stop in time. So the speed exceeded the ability of the brakes to affect it. So I just wanted to add here that research was in line with what the other cities have done. And so I'm comfortable now with omitting the gas powered as well.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments before you listen to my spiel? So I think it would be best if we, a couple of things that I would like to knock out, or at least have everybody be on the same page with. First and foremost, I know you said there was comments, and there's been comments on social media, and I know a lot of us read a lot of those. I think the number one issue here is education. And we've mentioned that several times. But I just had a few points that I think we need to keep in the back of our minds and as, I guess, points moving forward. Number one, improve the public safety for everyone using our streets, sidewalks, and parks. Number two, educating riders and parents before relying on enforcement. 3 is creating regulations that are simple, fair, and practical to enforce. Reading some of these ordinances that have been developed in other communities, they're not going to be easy to enforce. It's going to put a lot on our officers, so I think that having something that's clear and easy to follow is important. I think modernizing our bicycle registration program to help identify, educate, and then hopefully not theft recovery, but mainly for improving the identification and the education by making a parent and the child come in, or anybody, not just a child, making them come in and register the bike. I know even our bike registration doesn't even list an e-bike as a category. I think I would like to see that as part of the process, but not only that, having that point of contact also gives us a point to educate. So if we can maybe come up with a revamp of our registration process to include maybe some colored like neon details that would make it easy for our officers to identify what class of bike it is, and I'm just throwing ideas out there. But I think having them come in, we can in turn give them a copy of our ordinance, the suggested rules as far as what we decide is a suggestion or a safety concern versus what the rules are. But I think bringing the parents in, or just anybody, because I keep saying parents, but I see adults writing these things too incorrectly. I think having that education is key. protecting high pedestrian areas while allowing responsible e-bike use. We hear it all the time downtown. So I think that that is an issue we need to decide on, is like sidewalk safety. And then number 6 is addressing the unsafe riding behaviors, and illegal electric vehicles rather than over-regulating responsible riders. I think it's important to, again, if we address the main issues and help educate, I think is gonna go a lot further. So I think one of the biggest things we need to come up with, sidewalk rules. Are we allowing them on sidewalks? Are we eliminating them on certain portions? I've heard a lot of people suggest, and they do it in other communities, a common theme was heavy foot traffic areas. And my suggestion would be downtown sidewalks, say from Adams to the west, to maybe Mound Street would be like Quick Trip area. But number one concern from business owners in that area are doors opening and kids flying by, and people on bikes flying by. So one thing I'd like to think about is the eliminating the sidewalks, certain sidewalk area, and or a speed limit if they are allowed to ride on a sidewalk, say in residential areas around there with a school, or some streets may not have sidewalks, so they're going to be as close to the curb as possible. But do we want to think about a speed limit on sidewalks? Parks, if they're allowed in parks, sorry. School zones, again, reducing speed limits. Passengers, some ordinances I don't think are up to date on the models of bikes. Some models of bikes are made for passengers. My kids had to point this one out to me because they noticed a child riding their scooter and their phone in their hand at the same time. They learned from us. So no cell phone use on it. Do we want night equipment? And then some of the last ones are age restrictions and helmet requirement. So some of the places have required helmets under 16. I think it might be a little hard to enforce as far as picking out how old does that student look, if we're going to impose a helmet requirement, I would just make it under 18. It was my suggestion, if we want to do that. And then the age restrictions, especially on some of these, like the class 3, they can go up to 20 miles an hour.
That was a lot. Can you just
Yeah.
do one
Yep,
topic
absolutely.
at a time?
So did everybody have a chance to go through Nina's or Amro's or come up with anything else of their own that I haven't mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. What does everybody think on the registration process?
I think registration is the key. A lot of what we're seeing is, as we mentioned, a lack of information as to proper operation of the e-bike, and we might be able to diffuse a lot of the issue if the kids and the parents are being educated. I think one of the things that I was most sad about was I kind of put out the question, if you are the parent of an e-bike owner, what's a proper way for someone to correct your child if they see them doing something wrong? And I got absolutely zero responses to that, which was flabbergasting to me. So how do I tell the kid, hey, you're driving unsafely, without having any kind of, law to back me up? If they're just gonna go, you can't do anything, that's fine, I don't wanna be a Karen, but I also am terrified when I see these kids zoom out into the middle of the street for them, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have walked out of the building and been woof by a bike before, it was crazy, I almost lost my bag. But as far as the education piece, I really liked what you said about the different colored stickers, because that's a really key, easy way for a law enforcement person to see that the bike is registered, what speed it's allowed up to, and also then easy for them to search that registration, contact the parent if need be.
Part of the registration process I had was obviously giving them a summary page, like a 1-page of our ordinance. helmet safety, and maybe teaming up with the county or, if there's any resources available to that. But I would also like to come up with a brochure to be able to hand out to them, something that's easy, and I don't mind putting that together. I would volunteer to put that together. Contact information, questions, facts, all that kind of stuff, because this is new, and, again, we hear this over and over again, and I think a lot of this could be curbed if they just had the education. I've also chatted with Dr. Durkee from the school district, and he's completely on board with helping in any way he can to educate and get it out to our students, whether that's our SRO, giving some extra class time talks or assemblies or wherever it's feasible for that to get out. They're happy to be part of any video that we put together. We mentioned several different things, but at the end of the day, they're happy to team up as best as we can to get the word out to their students.
This is probably unpopular, but I'm kind of okay with kids riding on the sidewalks, even busy ones with a speed limit. But the question is, how, do those things have speed limit speedometers on them? Like they can tell how fast they're going? Okay, so that's weird that they can tell how fast they're going.
And I will tell you that I have been physically driving down Main Street, and there are children that are riding faster than me on the sidewalk,
Which is 25 miles an hour.
which is what the business owners are complaining about.
Yeah. I would be okay, because like some of these kids may be using, especially now that we have limited bus transportation, some of these kids may be using this to get back and forth to school, back and forth to the Boys and Girls Club, which is gonna take them right down Main Street. And the parks is fun. So I would be a proponent of saying, if you're on a sidewalk or a pathway where people are walking, to limit it. I don't know, what do people run at?
So it was, a lot of them were talking about, some of the other, I don't think it was Nina, it was another one, that limited sidewalk speeds to 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nervous about them zipping up Main Street, just because, even though they're not supposed to, when people are turning left, people go to the right. If you got a kid on an e-bike, I think, yeah, I would be comfortable with them riding on the sidewalk with some sort of limit.
I would agree with sidewalk.
I just think on the main drag, it's just,
With it being a highway.
it's a little too busy.
There's
a lot of-
So are we saying that we want to restrict it to sidewalks? Because most of the municipalities are having them ride on the street within like 5 feet of the curb is the acceptable, so that they're not weaving in and out of traffic. Because that's another concern that we've gotten calls on, or that I've heard calls on, that kids are driving down the middle of the road, which a bicycle theoretically could, because they're a vehicle.
I don't know if I want to restrict.
Chief, would you like to come up?
I don't want to restrict.
I just want them to have the option to,
Right.
for their comfort level, if they want to ride on the sidewalk, sure, but if they're a little older, 16, and they want to ride on the main drag, then.
I don't like the idea of them on Main Street. There's enough other streets that they could find their way to the Boys and Girls Club or whatnot without endangering themselves or somebody else on Main Street.
At all or on the sidewalks? At
I
all?
think at all. There are enough other streets in town that they could get where they need to go without driving down Main Street.
I mean, they could cross, they would likely have to cross.
Yeah.
But we could have crossing areas, you can only cross with the stop and go lights for now or whatever.
Do we want to get that restrictive and
No.
specific on this?
Personally, I don't want to get restrictive. I'm definitely more for the freedom of use, but I do like creating safety walls, safety barriers. And I think if we limit it to 10 miles an hour, that's plenty of time to stop the bike, to provide warning. I
think
really
at 10
walk,
miles
I'm
an
in my
hour,
own
you're
world,
still-
so like.
You're still moving pretty fast down the sidewalk if somebody walks out of a business.
I mean, that's faster than I can drive my golf cart on the campground. We have a speed limit of 5.
Five.
Yeah. So I mean, speed limit I think would be fair, but trying to you can't be on the road. I mean, I don't know how much police want added onto their plate as well, how many restrictions we're gonna put on this, and if it's gonna be worth all of their, like, I know being safe is what they're after, but how much
And
time.
the pedestrian interaction, with cars downtown sometimes.
What's your ability, I'm
Hard.
sorry,
But
yeah, what's your ability to
The
track?
only difficulty with it is our radars pick up the largest objects. So how we're
So the
trying to-
cars go by.
Yeah. So that's the difficulty, and I'm not sure how well the laser system will work. We do have a laser system for speed detection. I've just never practiced it on a bike or e-bike, so I'm not sure how effective it would be. So regular radar detection could be difficult, because vehicles are gonna take, that's how the science works, and it's gonna bounce off the radar because it's a larger vehicle.
Well, I guess our hope then is if we had it 5 or 10 and they're registering and these are our ordinances, these are our rules, it's known to them, hey, 5 miles an hour or 10. And just hope that they understand that that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's the safe, we're not telling you that we don't want you to have fun, we're telling you that because that is a safe speed. I mean, there's, I think 10, 11-year-olds, I've seen them and yeah, they were going faster than me down Main Street. It was a kid and he came right out between Taco Bell and McDonald's, right in front of me. If I would have not looked for a second, I would have hit that kid. And he continued down the center line, to the stop sign.
Crossing,
So he was not in a crosswalk at all.
right,
He just came
crossing
right out.
streets though brings up another issue, which I have seen as the primary safety issue is the number of kids that neither look left nor right and just pew across the street. I don't care. I've seen it in Park, I've seen it in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. These kids, I know you're Superman when you're a kid and you think everybody's watching out for you, but I do not want it to be that one of these days, you know, a child catches an inattentive driver. So is there already a rule for bikers to have to dismount to cross a road?
In my opinion, and without looking at it, I believe bikers just need to yield the right of way to vehicles, just like a pedestrian crossing the road. Because if you're a pedestrian crossing outside a crosswalk, you then lose the right for the vehicles to yield to you, you have to yield to the vehicles. So I believe it'd be similar.
So we would just say yield right of way to vehicles?
Yes, they should be. And regarding the bicycles that can operate in the roadway, if bicycles are traveling less than the speed of traffic, they need to be at the far right hand of the road in general. So I mean, the common guideline is your bicycle should be near the curb to the far right hand.
So common bicycle guidelines make sense when followed.
Yep. Nothing new.
The question is, do we create any kind of enforcement for, somewhere in one of these, it mentioned confiscation of the bike. And I think that is a viable option to take it to the police, have the parent come pick them up, have a re-education piece about why the bike was confiscated, what the child's behavior was that caused the confiscation. It creates a pain point for the parent, but also an education point for the child.
How much room do we have upstairs?
I'm off right now.
And I did see that, I think that would be something that would be I don't wanna say a last resort, you know, as a disciplinary action.
I'm just
But I
thinking,
did-
we can put a lot of laws and rules and regulations in place, but if there's no teeth behind it, and by, I love as much freedom as possible, but freedom is possible because people obey the law. And if the law is not being obeyed and there's no teeth behind the law, then there's no consequence.
So like penalties, so if the first time they blew through a stop sign and they get caught, now you have a mandatory Saturday morning education, something like that. Second time, I'm contacting your parents, let the kid correct it themselves.
I think the parents should be contacted immediately.
You know, and then the third time, is it a fine, a citation that goes to the parents? And, you know, it's under 14, they can't be cited.
No, I believe it's under 12.
You know, just when they come in to register, just so you know, if you get caught blowing a stop sign, this is what's going to happen.
And that was my hope within these flyers or these pamphlets that we're giving out, that was a point that there should be no excuse. We give all the information to the parents when they're registering, or any bike owner for that matter.
You know, they're preparing themselves too, because once they turn 16, most of them will have driver's license.
Mhm.
So they should be following the law already and learning that. And I would say between my business across town and home where I am, I'm in a busy spot too. They don't stop at stop signs.
So let's, can we settle the sidewalk one first?
I'm good
And
with allowing for sidewalk with under 5 miles an hour.
all sidewalks? That they're only,
It's on, so if they're on any
If they're
sidewalk,
on a
even a sidewalk, or a side road, it's 5 miles an hour if you're on. Yeah.
That's
people are
my
walking
opinion. I think
dogs
you
or
could
coming out of a driveway.
You can stop.
Mhm. Are we mandating or recommending where they should be driving on the roads? If they're not on a sidewalk? I think it was Nina recommended, or not recommended, said that they should be within 5 feet of the curb,
I think we should follow the regular bicycle regulations that we already have there.
but we don't have,
That they were, or maybe that was added in that they should be near, within the 5 feet.
that would add it, that was not ours, that was the recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yes, I think that's expected of runners, bikers.
Within 5 feet of the curb or side.
Cannot be impeding traffic, the regular flow of traffic.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Great.
Sorry. Afterwards, yes.
Okay.
Helmets.
I think because we're limiting the speed on sidewalks,
You're not limiting on the road though.
I know.
Does any, and this is,
I mean,
parents are either gonna hate us or love us. It's a,
I do feel like if you're on the road, you need to follow the road speed. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, speed limits are there, I mean, I think you guys can set speed limits on things like ATVs and UTVs, right? And which we could do that with the e-bikes, but generally these e-bikes shouldn't be going faster than 25 anyways. I think a class 3 is 23.
28, it can max out at 28. And ATVs, ATVs just have to follow our speed limits. We didn't set any, no.
And I think that isn't consistent rule to say just follow the speed limit of the road, including slow zones for students, for crossing, just follow speed limits.
I don't know that I'm okay with kids on Main Street going 25 miles an hour without a helmet. I mean, isn't there a helmet regulation for ATV, UTVs?
Under 16?
Yep.
16, 18.
18.
18, sorry. Thank you, you have it. Yeah, under 18, they have to have a helmet. And they have to be 16 to drive a ATV.
They have to be 16 with a valid driver's license and their parent in the UTV in order to operate it under the age of 18.
I will say that was one concern. I got an email from a constituent that was pointed out the similarities of the ATV operators. That you had to be 16 with a driver's license to operate an ATV that is potentially going the same speed down the road, but yet we're letting children ride these e-bikes at the same speeds down the same streets.
If they're under the age of 18, they can't do it on their own, even with a valid driver's license. They have to have a parent license.
For a biker,
Or for the ATV.
Sure, right, so that's what I'm saying, is that there was much stricter guidelines on these ATVs when they're going the same speeds even.
I will say marriage to a class 3 bike is already restricted to 16-year-olds by state statute. If that clears things up.
Do these e-scooters go just as fast?
No,
I'm not familiar with.
they shouldn't be going as fast.
Also, one of them had maxed out the scooters at 10 miles an hour. That they weren't supposed to be riding a scooter more than 10 miles an hour.
Period.
Again, I don't remember the difference between all of them. I read so many ordinances, but that was one suggestion, and one was a scooter, not maxing 10 miles an hour. Part of, one of the other differences we're talking, I know earlier, we talked about, not you guys before in the audience, we're talking about, we already have a bike ordinance, that we're just amending this one to reflect today's, technology, and one of those things was that technically a scooter, if it does not have pedals, is not allowed on the street. It is only allowed in your private property. So that's what this, also amendment to this will be, allowing these scooters on the street, because as of right now, they're not. I do also recognize that, again, our school district has, moved our busing, radius to the 2-mile mark, and I do know that there are a lot of students that are getting to and from school and practices on these. But again, it's down to the education of them, learning how to drive them correctly to and from school or anywhere else. So this would legally allow them to ride those scooters. Still not dirt bikes, e-dirt bikes or anything like that, because they do not have pedals and they're considered a motor vehicle. The e-dirt bikes, chief,
Sorry, what's that?
e-dirt bikes, are they considered a motor vehicle?
If they're solely propelled by the motor, yes.
Okay. So back to helmets, yes, no, or are we just making a recommendation for safety, that they should wear them?
I would make a recommendation for safety. That's my opinion. You guys feel free to.
I think a lot of the safety stuff falls heavily on the parents enforcing these things with their children. There's only so much that we can do. I really think that this is up to the parents to educate their children.
Except the bikes that go over 25 miles an hour, because just like the ATVs, they should have helmets on.
But you said that the Schedule
Vanessa.
3 or Class 3 or whatever.
Class 3 will require it, right?
Class 3, you're required to be 16.
To have
There's
them.
another
So
one that
it would be
mentions helmets
16,
regarding
17,
bicycles.
and then 18 would be up to your discretion.
Yeah, so we would need to enact an ordinance to require helmets. Statute doesn't mention helmets.
So we can require the helmet on a class 3, knowing that their speeds can go upwards of 20 miles an hour.
I'd be comfortable with that.
For under 18,
And that you would be able to tell, correct, by the reflector sticker that it was green.
If that's how we want to differentiate the classes, yeah.
Okay.
And that's it, you guys register, you can't make people register their bikes. Hopefully, the hope is that they do, so we can provide education.
but can we?
Well, we can issue them citations if they don't
Right.
register, I guess.
You brought up the phone use while riding. I've actually seen kids with musical devices too. So I'm wondering if we should have not being able to use what's the word I'm looking for? Like an electronic device, not just a phone, but like an electronic device while operating.
Like hands-free.
Yeah, hands-free.
While operating. Okay, so helmets, sidewalks. A lot of these municipalities are mandating or prohibiting no riding athletic fields, playgrounds, ball diamonds, park shelters, and landscaping.
Fine with
That's
that.
fair.
I think some of the calls we've had were kids riding through wood chips, flinging wood chips.
Yeah.
Through the playgrounds.
Well, and I think with the age of young children who can't necessarily watch out for themselves, like has happened in that other city, it doesn't make sense for a fast bike to be going through a playground anyway.
So we're okay with that one?
Read those again, or are you going to send me that?
I'm sorry. Not allowed in parks,
No, they're allowed in
No.
parks.
okay.
They're allowed on the grass.
Just not in, not on the ball diamond and, like you said, landscaping and.
So you're okay with them riding through Riverside Park?
Yeah, because there's a path there.
Just on the path though, not
On
through
the
the
path or
grass.
through the grass forever?
They might get banked by a.
I would say the paved
Yes.
areas.
Are kids driving in the grass at the park?
Oh, they do.
I don't think we've received any official complaints about it. I don't know if the Parks Department has.
I haven't heard complaints, but I've seen kids do it.
Is it harmful?
No, it's like goose poop.
Parking lots, because Riverside Park has a lot of parking lots. Not permit them in parking lots and the walking paths or bike paths, I think that's fair, but just don't forget about the parking lots, because some of the parks have them.
Yeah, that boat ramp might get a little busy. Yeah.
Or leave it at athletic fields, playgrounds, ball diamonds, parks, shelters, and then landscaped areas.
Yeah.
So we're leaving out the parks for now.
For now, yeah. I think that would be a good place for Park and Rec to opine if they think that that's causing any damage or trouble, but I can't think of any reason specifically to disinclude parks.
So then school zones. Usually includes reduced speed, yield to the crossing guards, and then obviously no reckless riding.
Same, yeah. Follow the same speed limits.
Can we have that over by the Boys and Girls Club as well? That's not technically considered a school zone, is it?
It's not posted 15.
No, I don't think so. St. John's would be the closest one since All Saints had moved.
Can we have the area, the size of what a school zone would be by the Boys and Girls Club?
So that intersection, a block in each,
I would say Washington to Ceresco, Southwest Ceresco.
and that's just the speed limit restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Down to,
I think it's still posted at 15. I think they've kept those up.
Yeah, it might be. I'd have to take a drive through on that. I think the majority of Ceresco is almost still designated slow, but it might have changed now for sure.
It's not by us.
I guess I just want to make sure I understand, so,
can you enter your mic?
I apologize. So for the school zones, if they have to abide by the speed limits, right? Are you now discussing if it should be slower than the posted speed limit for these areas?
No, that the posted speed limit in the school zone is slower during school hours, so it'll say 15 miles an hour during.
So these are
just
mostly
normal.
the class 3, right?
Mhm.
Because otherwise, if you're riding on the sidewalk, you have to be at 5 anyways.
Right, if they're on the road.
But there are quite a few that drive Washington on the road.
Okay,
So you're stating that because you don't think it's posted by the Boys and Girls Club, that in that area, they should be following the school zone speed limit, which is 15.
Correct. That's
That's what I
very,
want.
very busy intersection and with the future, with the road getting redone, what is that, Franklin Street is gonna,
I do think it is still posted. I don't know that,
That was where All Saints.
yes, I don't know that it has like the school zone
the sign.
painted any. School zone. That signs up. So I don't know if we need to move those, but I do think there are still some up. But those should be followed, even though they're not by a school.
Then to passengers, my recommendation was only if the manufacturer had designed it.
For more than one rider, yeah.
Yeah.
Night equipment, a front white light, rear red light, reflectors, working brakes.
Yes.
A red light or reflectors only?
Red light.
I think the light
So you want red and white lights.
I would say for one of the e-bikes, I think already coming code with that anyways. I don't think there'll be something that they add on.
Okay. The helmet, we said no. Age restrictions. Some communities have under 16, no class 3, which we've already decided is a state statute. Under 14, has some restrictions, and then parent supervision. I think having age restrictions, I know AMRO just enforced this, but I think it's gonna be super tricky for our officers to decide on the fly who they look like 14, or they look, maybe they're 15. I think that's gonna be too hard for them to enforce.
And I think hopefully we can trust the discretion of the parent to give a child capable of operating the vehicle to the right age group, so hopefully that can be depended on.
So the only age restriction is on the class 3 for no one under 16. And then just, ramping up our registration process. Not because we want to regulate them, the kids, but I think it would help identify the bike class, educating the parents, and then giving officers a quick identification by 3 different colors, neon colors that are gonna stick out.
I noticed in the NENA one, there was temporary restrictions in place for things like parades and festivals. When I was working the 4th of July event, that footpath that all of the pedestrians were on occasion, bikes would go down there and it didn't look dangerous, nobody got hit, but it looked like, ooh, everybody's jumping out of the way for the bike. Is that something that we want to include, temporary restrictions on parades and festivals, community events, construction projects, emergencies, that kind of stuff?
So I did see that in one of the comparisons I did, and I just left it out because I thought enforcement was gonna be rough, or what we're putting on the event coordinator, or does anybody else see that as a priority?
I think, like you said, that would be hard to regulate. I would hope at the education that they would know.
I mean, we self-regulate at the farmer's market, asking people on regular bikes, not even just e-bikes, but regular bikes, to please hop off them and walk them through the park. You know,
So it's your approach.
So I think the next, Jesse, maybe you and I can work on firming it all up before it gets sent to the attorney then to review.
Well, sure, we can
Bring it
back
back
here and then send it.
once we get it all for a final look over. And then once that is completed, then we can work on a fee schedule. And different violations and whatnot. Anything else before we move on? Do we think we covered everything? Is there anything else we left out?
We didn't talk about enforcement. We briefly visited enforcement, but we didn't solidify it.
So I feel, again, that's part of that fee schedule, and, we can't discuss that next part until we have the ordinance ready. Cause I talked about putting the cart in front of the horse and wanted to come up with a fee schedule right away and what the citations would look like, but we have to have the ordinance first. Is that my understanding, or do you wanna talk about all that now?
It may be simpler to know what you would find them for, but, I mean, you guys can go on however you feel is.
Because some of the stuff they can already cite for. Running a stop sign, right?
Roadway violations,
Sure.
if it's in statute, we could issue what's called a traffic citation. I mean, that's different from an ordinance violation, so those have greater weights or more fees. So enacting ordinances would actually, you guys can have lower fees, so not make it as restrictive or as expensive. And that also an ordinance doesn't impact future like licensing, driver's licenses and things where traffic violations would or could potentially. So it's almost a benefit to the community to update an ordinance so we can issue under an ordinance instead of a state statute.
Are you already, if there is a child that was called in and they're riding recklessly or whatever the case may be, are you already making parents communication with, if you were to stop someone, stop a student or a child, or what does that look like right now in your end?
It really depends on the officer. I'm not sure how many contacts we've had, but I know we've only done education.
And I would like to not make registration prohibitive to the ownership of the bike or operation of the bike. I would like it to be more education focused. Obviously, there's registration, there's staff cost to operating and registering all this stuff, buying, you know, the appropriate documentation, stickers and things like that. So there's some fee cost in that, but I don't want it to be prohibitive to parents or children to operating these vehicles and being able to have them. I really liked Tracy's idea of educational levels before we get to any kind of fines and fees and confiscations, just because the point is education.
So one of the things I had come up with was like a safe rider program. The first violation was a warning, a safety brochure, and notify the parents. Parent meeting or acknowledgement, and citation. Reinforcing that registration isn't just about identification, but it's a way to educate and involve the families. And I think if half the families and half parents out there knew what was going on, I can't parent if I don't know about it. So if the parents were aware of it, I think that would go a long way. So that was my recommendation.
I'd be on board with that.
I did look online. There are several online courses for e-bike training. There are a lot of them that are $36. It's like a 2-hour course. I don't know if they could do like a group, you know, have like put it out there that we're gonna have an online training course, you know, just pay the $36. You have a whole group of kids come in and just have them train.
I also think that that's something that could be tied in with our schools, that could be done for free. But really, if the school is on board and they recognize it too, that there are a lot of kids that are on these that are getting to school, I think we can get through a lot of this, all the schools, for that matter, but to get all the kids while they're in school versus just a bike rodeo that's, not mandatory and on a Saturday. If we could get them while they're in school, which is what they had said that they were willing to team up with to do, I think that should check all the boxes. Okay, anything else?
No, I just want to say that as long as the kids are obeying street rules, road rules, and limiting their speed on sidewalks, it should minimize the incidents that we're seeing. And if the city's response is education as opposed to punishment, that should hopefully alleviate parent concern that we don't want them to have bikes. We do want them to have bikes, but we just want them to operate them safely. So I think this is a good ground.
Can I just make one more comment?
Yeah.
Talking about issuing of citations and things. There is discretion, law enforcement obviously. And if there is like a major incident or a fatality or a death, I just don't want the ordinance to restrict that we can't issue a citation because it was a first offense. So having that discretion still available to us is a good thing. And I fully agree, education is probably where it should start, but we have discretion for a reason to where we can issue citations under egregious offenses. So just something to keep in mind.
So that was my last paragraph. Was asking our attorney if we can incorporate language such as, nothing in this ordinance shall prohibit a law enforcement officer from issuing a warning in lieu of a citation when the officer determines that education is likely to achieve voluntary compliance, except in cases involving reckless operation or conduct posing an immediate threat to public safety. So it's like we're on the same.
It is, but that says that they
They can downgrade, but they can't escalate.
Yeah, that doesn't say escalate, so I would just have to.
Sure.
Include why I said to have the attorney.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I agree with that, but include the language that they can escalate the, recommended ordinance where necessary.
I do wanna say there are a lot of kids that are following the rules,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of adults that are following the rules.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I believe that is, I mean, a few kids can make something that's a good thing look bad to the
Yeah.
community, and definitely there's good ones out there. We just gotta make sure that education.
Like you said, social media, I think it was just, they all kind of were feeling targeted.
Or even
that's not the case, it's just, at the end of the day, we want them to go home and be safe. You have to follow the rules.
Right, and the police department's on the same page, it's just the safety of the community and the safety of the kids.
Well, and if you got one kid zipping across 10 roads flipping people off, 10 people have seen that same one kid do it, you know, like.
And I don't know if you guys get messages sent to you every time there's something bad on the news. But I have gotten a dozen over the last couple of weeks with the tragedies that we've seen on national news or even just in Wisconsin. So this isn't just here. We're all just catching up to the technology and, at the end of the day, we want the same thing, so.
To be fair though, we noticed that the technology was coming and that's why we're here talking about it because we've been discussion that's in the making. So it's not that we're waiting for, somebody commented that we had to see somebody die before we were gonna do anything. And that's ridiculous. We've been on this for months, trying to work on it, so.
Yep. All right, any last questions or are we good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going back to updates and ADA compliance. The recommendation is to listen to the presentation, discussion, and action as appropriate. Nathan couldn't be here tonight, but you guys should have the printouts. He was kind of looking at narrowing down some ideas. Did anybody, you guys have these in front of you?
Yeah.
I told Jesse it's gonna take more than one meeting for me to tweak all my things that I would like to see, but I think it's a.
I personally am just not a fan of the big colorful buttons. I just
No.
think they look childish and.
But Jesse also stated too, like, a lot of that stuff is gonna have to change anyways.
Yeah.
Because of the ADA requirements. But I think we could probably all agree that an updated, more, sure. An updated, more,
No,
never mind.
told me, he stay open, but thank you.
A sleeker look per se.
More streamlined.
Streamlined, yeah. A cleaner, not,
Close the door.
I think we could all agree on the colorful buttons. If letters on the top, I personally don't love the green either.
Nope.
Um,
I'm a green fan, but not that.
I also like the font, the cleanliness of the font of this yellow one. I don't love the big yellow box on the top, but I like the clean font.
I would take the font on this one or this one,
Yeah, this one was good. I like that one too.
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
not,
Not our, well, that's our normal font.
okay,
That's,
I was gonna say, let's.
Yeah.
But looking at these side by side, I can see how this is more readable because it creates more space between each of the letters. So if you have poor vision, this can kind of, like me, if without my glasses, this would meld together, but this I can read. So that one with the brown box has a better readability.
no color.
Tim, do you think you could just ask him to carry the conversation elsewhere?
Down in the hall.
That would be helpful.
He's, whatever, I probably can't pick it up here.
Okay.
I do like on the bottom of this one, where it has the Y Berlin, like those bullets, I do like that. If anything, I like the bottom, the And green doesn't bother me, I just don't want the big old green bar.
Could we do something similar to this
And that's-
color, but on the
yeah.
top?
That's what I was looking at.
Honestly, I prefer gray.
Yeah.
Are you a millennial?
Yeah, right? We can change it in
Look at my glasses.
Okay, okay. I'm making a joke.
Anything else that sticks out, like, don't
I
like?
don't like this green.
No.
And I don't like the green with the blue.
It's really too blocky. So I made the assumption that this was taking ADA and that's why we have these examples here. So this is not taking the ADA compliance into account?
I will have to confirm with Nathan. My understanding was that he was putting together certain themes and then he would run our, it through that program. So I do know that some things that program's gonna look for are fonts. There are only certain fonts that are, like you were saying, for readability. There has to be a certain, and I don't know how the numbers work, but a certain difference between colors of the font and the background for readability. There are several of those types of things that I don't know for sure if all of these boxes meet that requirement at this point. I think he was basically taking what we have and kind of giving you a new theme with what we have and then gonna stick it into the program.
Yeah, I find back in the 80s, I was building websites. I would make those look like that in the 80s. So when I see this, it looks really unprofessional to me. It looks like something I did on HTML. So I'm not seeing that as a very professional look for the city.
Too boxy?
Yeah,
Okay.
button boxy.
And the colors, well, yeah, either way.
I don't like the dark on the dark.
No.
You know.
That's why I
If that
think
was-
this
that was
yellowish,
white,
yeah.
White or yellow or something that would show
Too hard to
it
read.
better.
yeah. Was that, and we can touch base with him more, especially without him here tonight. Are you okay with what I'm doing? Yeah. Left in that. Okay, number 8 is the dreaded health insurance renewal. It's only dreaded for me. Because I don't like insurance.
So, not great news, but better news than originally. When we first started meeting with Visance, who is our broker that helps us work with, the insurance companies, the renewal was proposed at 28% increase. Visance worked with them and got it down to 14.9, and then met with them again and have it at 11.9. So, obviously, I'd love to tell you there is no increase, but realistically, I was really hoping it would be under 15 and under 12 would be even better. So, they did go out and request of a couple other companies to also quote us. Only one company did, and to have the same numbers that we have now, they were more expensive. If we change our deductible, it could get a little bit less, but now we are also making people change products 2 years in a row. So not my recommendation at this point. As you know, this past year, we moved to paying a specific dollar amount that had been defined for years to an employee contribution of 7.5% and an employer or city contribution of 92.5%. I'm kind of making the assumption, but of course it's up to you, that we will move to a 90-10. 90% city funded and 10% employee funded, because that is what was agreed to in the police department contract. Next year, they would pay 10% and we would pay 90. Another thing that I'd like to throw at you here is we currently offer 2 plans with Robin. We have the Focused, have the Broad. The Focused is a bit less expensive than the Broad. The Broad has more carriers in it, more options for where to go. They also offer, Robin does, a select version, which is a little more condensed than even the focused. As you can see in the packet, it basically is real similar to the focus, but it doesn't have the Aurora, and it doesn't have the Signa wrap for if you're traveling or have kids outside of our area. So that version is the most cost effective. If it, depending on your situation and your needs and your doctors and all that kind of thing. So what I'm suggesting is that we have both a buy up and a buy down option. Fund at 90% the focused version. And then if someone wants to continue with the broad or move to the broad, they have to pay the difference. So we would pay the same amount for focused and the same amount for broad, but the employee would be responsible for that difference. It's significant, just so it's a significant difference to go from one to the other. And then a buy down option of, if you go with the focused version, we'll pay 10% of the select version. We'll pay 10% of the select, but it'll be cheaper for both parties because the plan itself is cheaper. So they would have three tier options. If that makes sense, that's what I'm throwing out there. And not suggesting this year to change our deductibles. That's also something that we can look into. They ran some numbers with that. Currently, our single plan is a $3,500 deductible and family is $7,000. So this would maintain that.
Have you looked into going with the state plan yet? That was something that needs to be looked into. Whether you're doing a high deductible, regular deductible, or no deductible plan, that is something you need to look into.
We will look at it again with finance. We talked about it last year. And as I understand, there's a buy-in
on it this year.
Oh, I know, but there is a buy-in of a couple of years where you pay a much higher percentage.
I think it's 1 year.
So 1 year, it used to be 3, but we can definitely look into
Even
it.
if it's.
It was like 30%.
Save you a lot more than this.
We can definitely talk to them and find out the details.
Pretty sure the county went up like 4%.
This year? Mm-hmm.
Not all counties were that lucky, but
Yes,
pretty sure it rounded out to about 4%.
they had their good years and their bad, but they have more good years than most. Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm glad they were able to get
Yeah.
reduced.
It is still a significant increase to our overall spend, as you can see. We're probably gonna be 50 to 60,000 more cost this year for the city than last year. But the first time they sent us a number that was over 100. So, like I said, not great news, but better than it would have been. Are there any questions, more additional information you need, or concerns with what I've kind of thrown out there as the way to move forward with this? So that we can get you whatever you need for next time.
What did you just say this was gonna cost us an extra?
50 to 60. It really depends what version everyone takes.
But roughly 60,000 is an estimate. Okay, you don't need a motion though?
I don't think so, I'm just looking for guidance so that we can bring back to you something that hopefully you find acceptable, for your review. Because our renewal, as you know, is an October timeline, so we've got to get this figured out in the next month. So what I'd like to do is get back to our broker, and if what we've thrown out here makes sense to you and you are okay with it, then I'll ask her to kind of get things finalized and put into a form that you can approve.
I like what you said about matching the police contract of 90-10, and sticking with the focus and letting them pay the difference if they want to go up to broad. That makes sense.
Anything else? All right,
Debbie, did say anything? She's been doing all the meetings.
then we are number 9, special event. Final revival at Grizzy's Diner and Tavern from 6 to 9 on August 14th. The request is for a temporary extension of premises of alcohol beverage license at 186 Broadway Street to include fenced-in outdoor area, outdoor activity areas for alcohol beverage license establishment permit to allow live entertainment and serving of alcohol beverages and special events on street, highways, and municipal parking lots to allow of the city-owned lots at 119 Commercial Street and 114 Pierce Streets, that empty lot across the street there, for parking. Review request and permit applications, discussion action is appropriate. Can we combine the two? Or do you want them separate?
I think that's.
So he also has another event, special event for the same thing, but on September 6th for the Jerry Unger Band, but asking for the same stuff. So if we want to simplify that into one motion.
I am excited that he went and got local went house to house to get their approval for the music, so that's good. It does say,
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
that's a requirement because they want to use our lot for parking.
Oh.
It actually isn't for the music, but yes.
But
He
it-
had to do that in order to be allowed to use, he has to get 75% of anybody within 200 feet of that lot.
okay, it's still good.
Yeah, it is.
I'm glad that everybody was supportive of it. Yeah,
So it looks like everything was good to go.
So if you guys have any questions or clarifications that you want to see, for next week, then you can reach out and let him know that. I know we, noted a couple of questions in here about specifically the times and the, for the second one, it might mostly what I would consider. Have any specific questions or concerns or more need, we just want to make sure we give him that opportunity, to get that information to us, so that next week, when you are looking at this application, you can feel prepared to make a determination to move forward or not, so.
I also did talk with Chief Nesker earlier today, and he seemed very pleased with Mr. Bird. And said it was really easy to work with, and he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to make it a go. So he's said he's easy to work with and is looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to it, sorry.
We are hopeful as staff that next time he is new and didn't know the time frame, we're hoping that we can have a little more time to make sure that we can get through everything and make sure it's done the way it's supposed to. But we are excited, for him and his sort of still new business.
well, and I noted, he said that he's gonna have additional staff directing traffic in and out of the lot, because that was gonna be my question, like, if there's gonna be vans, there's gonna be a lot of traffic, people parking in odd spots on the street, so that's encouraging. I would recommend to common council to approve the temporary expansion license for alcohol sales and consumption under the current alcohol beverage license at 186 Broad Street on August 14th and September 6th from 5 PM to 10:30 PM.
Second.
Motion by Victoria, second by Missy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You just combined all those, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did the expansion, the outdoor activity and the special event permit altogether. Sorry.
Did I?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I combined the two events, but
Yes.
I'll make a motion to recommend to common council to approve the outdoor activity areas at alcohol beverage licensing establishment permit for Grizzlies located at 186 Broad Street, and to approve the special event permit to allow the temporary use of the city-owned property for the event parking on August 14th and September 6th, 2026.
Second.
Again, motion by Victoria, second by Missy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for catching that.
All right, we already did number 11. Down to number 12, the race order process and statutes,
Easy for you to say.
update. What's that supposed to be?
Status.
I'm reading I've got statutes.
That says status.
That says status, you're right, I'm sorry. Raise order, this is why we don't do meetings this long. Raise order process and status update for 127 West Merlin Street and 194 South Wisconsin Street.
You're barely halfway through, just so you're.
I know.
Hey, good evening. So what you have before you is a result of the feedback from the meeting 3 weeks ago. Tried to pull together all the information from all the agencies that have been involved, and thus have, say, more of a clear basis for the context and recommendations. And also acknowledge that this could go the direction of raise and repair and still just follow the process the way that was outlined by the attorney.
I love all the details. I think this is exactly what we were asking for. My only question is, I thought we already approved 194.
So yes, to clarify, and
Yeah.
I spoke a little fast. Looking to pivot that one towards raise and repair, understanding situations are not that different from each other. I mean, we have some uncertainty about who could be the owner. We've had indications, visits to the building inspector, or calls that indicated that somebody's flipping and solving the problems that those properties have. So we believe the raise and repair, as has been more the general process in the past at least several years, would be the one that's still appropriate here.
Yes, I think, to add to Tim's point, so one of the parcels, the one on Berlin, we've been told may have been, sold at this point. Tim did have a title search done, however, it seems like it may have happened after the title search was completed, so we still have to do a little bit more investigation to find out if that truly is the case, or if it's still in the property owners that we initially kind of started this process with name or not. And the second parcel, as Tim said, the one on Wisconsin, it appears that there may be another entity that is willing to help them move forward with repairs. So, at this point, we're kind of in that, we want to make sure that you're aware of that, but it may or may not make sense to continue down the road, and you'll have to make that decision, hopefully once we have a little bit more information. But he's working diligently to get it, but, people change their minds.
So I'm just trying to find my updated, I don't have the, what the recommendation is. What are you looking for from us? This is action is appropriate. Do we need any action then? Or are we stalling? Where are we?
So it would just be to follow the
Continuing the process.
follow the raise and repair process, which, and I'd say that where we're currently at there is the inspectors are working on reaching, and myself to some degree, reaching the property owners and getting some more clarification from them on the Wisconsin Street one, getting access so that they can do a full assessment.
Okay, so raise or repair, and this is a raise and remove, could be amended. So you need two different motions, is that what we're looking for?
If you will follow the, say, process to that point and agree that that would be the path to follow, that's what we're asking for.
27, we're looking for a raise or repair order. 194, raise or remove is still ongoing, as no notice has been sent. This could be amended to raise or repair. So do you need anything for this one at this point, or we can continue for Wisconsin Street?
I think if you know that you want to amend it to raise and repair, you can definitely, provide that guidance to us. Otherwise, we can bring it back to you when we have an update as to where they're at with the, building inspector, and you can amend it at that time.
I would rather wait for all the information. Everybody's okay with that one?
I think
I just don't want to have to go backwards again. I would rather, we've already started that process, let's wait till we have the building inspector's, report or his, recommendation, and then we can. Is that okay, or do you need that adjusted?
No, that's absolutely, I mean, I'm going in your direction here, and I'd say that my interpretation going back to unsafe buildings is that really that's what's important, is, as you will direct this.
So is everyone okay then, because we already discussed 194 last month, 2 months ago, last month? We're okay then until the building inspector gives us another update? Is that okay? So then we'll focus on 127 for raise or repair. Not a raise and removal. And we're hoping that there's,
Do you need action on it tonight, or we need to see what's going on with?
I mean, quite honestly, I'm not comfortable moving it to a raise or repair order until I see that it's in somebody else's name.
you mean like that it's sold?
Yeah.
So you want to do a raise and removal now? Or like we're doing,
We already
no, we,
consider resuming raise or repair.
oh, because this was one from last month.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, this is the one that we just talked about that we wanted more information, because we didn't have all the information.
190?
For 194 was last month, that was already,
Okay, I have it switched around.
yeah.
All right, sorry.
So West Berlin, the 127 is the one that we were waiting for more information on, which we got. We have all
Okay.
the stuff.
Yes, but we've been told that it may have switched hands, but it's too soon for us to have been able to confirm or not confirm, or find out that's not true. So, like I said, he did the title search, and then we were told that it may have sold. So we've been talking to the county.
As I believe it has it here, that a flipper or two have reached out to our building inspector about that property as well. So there could be some credibility to that, at least people seem to be talking in that direction.
And it says the last update, July 29th, that it was still under the previous owner, and I see the same, I don't see any update.
It looks like as of about 2 hours ago, same.
So we need to consider the raise and repair order,
Not raising the.
not raise and remove like we discussed. Or are we?
I was just stunned when I read 44 counties.
I know.
don't know where they're fitting them.
At my animal shelter,
Mm-hmm.
All of them?
No,
we've had 30.
30?
There's still animals in there.
there's still animals left in the house. There was a, I'd have to go back through. I wanna say there was
There
was cats and rats
and a dog.
and a dog.
The dog looked at me out the window.
So, in your experience with the animal shelter, what does that do to a home? The walls, when you have that many animals in there, does it make it something that has to be completely gutted? And
Am I allowed to comment?
I don't know, in her experience with animal.
I don't know why she couldn't.
Okay,
She might, if she comments, you might need to go down to the floor and you wouldn't be able to go.
Okay.
I was gonna abstain anyway,
Okay. No problem.
but use your imagination
Kind of like what you did with
with the pool.
It's already a raise and remove. We already.
No, we didn't.
We
It was
did
brought to us.
Because we didn't have a timeline of anything.
If you go with raise or repair, if the building inspector finds, that it's way out of proportion for the cost and things, and more than likely, it'll just be raised.
But it's not that that's what was presented to us last month,
Was the reason,
raise and removal.
it very well may have been,
Yeah,
you can go.
It wasn't, we heard your feedback from that is that did not sound like the favorable path when you have the alternative of raise and repair. Assuming I heard that correctly.
No, I don't think that was, I think it was just
I
the,
think it was, we wanted a timeline because we wanted to know why this was the second house coming to our attention in just as many months. And when we hadn't heard about it prior to that, and it looks like they had warnings in 2024, in 2025. The health department was there and the PD was there, like,
but I think the biggest one was we were being told that the recommendation of a raise and removal was due to the health inspector's report and the building inspector's report. And we only had the building inspector's report. Now we have the health inspector's report also.
Right.
But now it's saying raise and repair. I was fine with the raise and removal.
I think that if there truly is another party that has purchased or taken it over, it's up to you, but it may make sense to see what their plan is. If they think it is repairable,
Noxious odors, animal waste, unfit building structure, unburied carcasses. Oh, no, that's just
that's
the, yeah, hazards, okay.
So they spayed and neutered animals and then they took them back to the home on July 31st. They put them back in the house. Am I reading that right?
Yes, they were allowed to keep 6.
But they don't live there. No one's living there though?
They were taking care of them. They were going back and forth to take care of them daily. On-site navigation and emergency egress are severely compromised by waste-high debris pile, exposed and hanging live electrical wiring in areas of advanced structural decay.
I mean, I guess I would still do a raise and remove it.
Yeah.
Right, whether it has a new owner or not, it's still in the
Yeah.
same condition.
I don't think that you can flip a house like
No.
this. Really not.
And you said that 194 South Wisconsin just sold, even though it's under a raise and remove?
No, he's referring to 127 that we're talking about right now.
Right.
They're talking about selling, but it's not updated.
194 has another party that has said they may be willing to get it, improve the situation.
And clean it up and bring it up to code.
Well, I guess at this point, I would consider still doing a raise and remove, and if that time comes with somebody else for this property, then we can reconsider.
I agree.
Because if we keep putting it off, it's just gonna get worse, in my opinion.
I agree.
So we need a motion to, move forward with the raise and removal process until we have any, certified buyer.
On just 127, right?
And 127, correct?
I'll make a motion to direct staff to move forward with raise and remove process on 124 West Berlin Street.
127.
What did I say? Oh. I said 124, I'm sorry. 127 West Berlin Street. While current ownership of the house is being determined.
I'll second.
Okay, so that'll come back to you next week for formal.
So motion by Victoria, second by Samantha. Roll call, please.
Clubbeater.
Yay.
Colleen.
Yay.
Prisball.
Aye.
Abstain.
Stubby.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 13 is the residency requirements of committee, board, and commission members. Okay, you're handing me a book, it's not what you said, Tom. We're not doing book tonight.
Yes, you are.
So,
Short nap.
I attempted to amend our current ordinance to allow the, committees and commissions that I believe you discussed that you would like up to 2 non-residents to be allowed to serve on those, boards, committees, commissions. Just as a reminder, this is in chapter 2, which is our charter ordinance. So just like when we did the at-large, representation, this one would require, a 2/3 vote of the council, and then publication in the newspaper with a note that, it will go into effect for 60 days, and it will only go into effect if no petition is received. If a petition is received, then it would become a petition question on, or a referendum question, excuse me, on the next available election.
Which would now be April.
So, then it would go into effect if it passed, and it wouldn't if it didn't. So, this one takes a little bit longer than our typical to just publishing it and moving forward. But the committees, as I understood, that you wish to have up to two people be able to serve that were not residents, included the Community Development Authority, which is currently not active, the Park and Recreation Commission, the Travel and Tourism Commission, the Cemetery Board, and the Committee on Aging. So I updated the section of the, in general, says that you have to be a resident, as well as the section of the code that specifically refers to the Cemetery Board and specifically refers to the Committee on Aging. If you are comfortable with this language, then I will get it over to the attorney so he can make sure it's appropriately amended and then bring it back for your decision, or if you have any further amendments or changes that you'd like to see.
It was good.
Thank you.
Okay, so I can send that to the attorney?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, number 14, recycling fee implementation process.
Yes, you would ask. We need to notify that as of January, they would not be receiving their garbage and recycling services from the city. We've been working with management for quite some time, and depending on how you interpret the information they've given us, we're between 5 and 127 letters. So, again, we're talking it through. I'm very hopeful that it's much closer to 5, but we will get that for you.
Thank you to Brittany for having to deal with that.
She's a very patient woman.
I guess this is just a personal preference and comment. If we don't necessarily have an action or you don't want direction from us, I would be fine getting this as an email in the future. Just because, I mean, tonight, and I'm not trying to downgrade what Brittany's doing at all or what you guys have done, but there were 20 items on the agenda.
I told Jesse the exact same thing earlier.
Heard.
Yeah.
I do want to just say that the reason I put these consistent updates on there is because I think it's going to be important to tell the public that this was discussed many times. And they have the opportunity to come for
That's fair.
counsel. But
And we have so many people that come to these.
heard.
The opportunity. Yep. And again, just these things. Okay. I gotta shoot the page here. Recycling. Okay, so the number 15, ordinance number 08-26, amending chapter 52, planning, formally adopting the document entitled City of Berlin Comprehensive Plan 2046. The recommendation is to review the proposed ordinance amendment and action as appropriate. This is basically crossing all our T's, dotting all our I's.
Exactly.
And having to accept this to move it on and put it into place. Yes. Anybody have any questions on this? If not, we just need the motion to,
I'll make a motion to recommend to common council to adopt the amended chapter 52 as prepared by the city attorney.
Second.
motion by Terry, second by Misty, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 16, the resolution number 26-07 to accept the bequest of the Fortnum property, parcel number, oh, there's no dashes in this one, 206-000-680000. To the city of Berlin, review the proposed resolution and action as appropriate. Again, we have gone over all of the steps needed with the DNR. So now we are looking at accepting this.
Correct. The, Peter did send us that clarification letter that we requested, so that's in here for your review. If you would like to move forward to, accept the bequest from the Fortnums, you just would adopt this resolution next time.
Is this going to become parks? Or is it just given to the city to use how they want?
Yes, unbelievably, because that doesn't happen very often. The request specifically says to be used for city purposes, right? So that is up to the council to determine in the future.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of resolution 2607 to accept the bequest of the Fortnum property, parcel 20600680000 to the city of Berlin.
I'll second.
Motion by Victoria, second by Jamie, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one is number 17. We should skip this one. The resignation of alderperson following the August common council meeting. The recommendation is to discuss the options to fill the vacancy on the council and actions appropriate.
I'm sorry, what?
I make a motion to adjourn. Just joking. Please take that as
I'm
just.
pretty sure that Katrina was not thrilled to be getting that either.
I was not. I was not, but we also get it. Sam has devoted a lot of time to the city, and family life is also important. So I think we all understand this against our better judgment.
She had to be counted.
So a couple of things.
Sorry.
So you do have a policy of how to or fill a vacancy. So I provided that policy to you. Another thing that is new this time is you put in place your at-large representation ordinance. And so ordinance is now in effect. And when you move forward, anyone who's 18 and a resident would be eligible to put in their application for your review, as opposed to simply Ward 4, as would have been, how it would have been in the past.
So we can fill a seat till April, and then they would have to run again. It would be just to that term. So Jesse has some questions here that we are looking to answer. Where and when should the process notification be published or posted? City website, Berlin Journal, other suggestions. I think the notice should be on Facebook, obviously.
How many times do you want it in the paper?
Yeah.
Which one, kind of depends on when you actually want to do the process, because we're gonna have to tell them when their application needs to be in and when you guys will do the actual nomination.
I mean,
Do we have a set time frame for
I don't think you would have to.
that? Okay.
Yeah. Do we set like a month, 2 months, like next month's meeting?
I wouldn't go 2 months, that's not really.
Next month's,
Barely seated anyways.
If they could have it, yeah, before our next month.
You guys could go over it at common council
mhm.
and then appoint it. I think that's
So the
what
end
we
of
did
August?
with Gary, right?
We held an actual nomination meeting, which I think we did a half an hour before the regularly scheduled, or maybe it was me the whole, I have to look. But yeah, we had a special meeting, we just did a half an hour before.
Because then I came on and then got sworn in and,
Mhm.
yeah, it was 30 minutes before.
Okay, so what dates do we want to, do you have a date suggested? No.
I think unless you don't feel it's enough time to get it in the paper and give people a chance to respond, you could shoot for your regular September meeting to do your nomination meeting half an hour before your regularly scheduled September meeting.
So September 1st, the common council?
Common council meeting, correct?
Till 8th, sorry, okay. I'm fine with that.
So when do you want the materials to be in by?
Is it the 1st?
Yeah.
I think that'll work.
And is there a way to, I was gonna say, can we post it and let them know? let them know that we review on the 8th, just so that they know that the deadline's the 1st.
Yeah, I included what we put in the paper last time as the last page. And so, well, not exactly, but why we're doing it this time instead of having a vacancy of the election. But, what we had before was that they had to submit the application form and a resume to the administrator. And then, the common council would hold the nomination meeting at a certain time and place. And there, the applicants would be interviewed and the common council could vote to appoint them. So I think if you put in here, you know, that, the meeting is going to be September 8th and applications at 6:30 and applications are due the 1st at 4:30. Then I can get the meeting, posted with the applicants' names and things. It just has to be up for at least 24 hours. We'll do it before that, obviously. As soon as we have the nominations in, we can do that.
That's a good timeline.
That works?
Yep.
Okay, then we will get that in the
And
paper for next week. As long as we have it in by this Friday,
Yeah.
it can be in the paper next week, which is the week of the
Election.
election, 11. So they'll have through the first, so they'll have a couple of weeks. Do you want it in the paper more than the week of the, because that would be what, 11, 12, 13, the 14th and the 21st, or just the 14th?
I like the 14th and the 21st.
Put it in the paper twice?
how much do they charge us for this now?
I
Is this a public,
Debbie, do you remember?
It just
It
depends
depends
upon the
what they
size.
call it,
Depends
yeah.
upon the size.
It'll be a couple $100, I would think. You don't think so?
I don't know what they're gonna categorize it as.
That's fair.
should
I
be
can't
public
remember
notice,
how much ours was.
going for free, but I know.
I just, you know, despite that we put things out 100 times, people will always say, I never knew.
Yeah,
So I feel like 2 weeks or 2 papers is a good timeline to say, hey, you didn't just miss the one time, you missed both times.
Right.
We posted it, you know?
So it'll be the 14th and the 21st, those Thursdays, Thursday paper. Okay. And do you want it in the main paper, what's the other piece?
just the Journal.
I
I think it's all one paper now, right?
Just
Well,
the
it's
Journal?
either the Berlin Journal or the Billboard. Honestly, I feel like people read the Billboard way more than the Berlin Journal.
I throw that sucker away.
I throw it away, I just read the journal.
So we have a lot of people that come pick them up at the store,
Yeah.
especially on
I only look at the
But
billboard.
so a lot of them,
Pick up the what, the journal or the billboard?
the billboard,
They're all Billboard.
yeah.
I
What do you want me to do?
I would just put them in, I guess I don't have.
put it in both because
But
not everybody's paying for a subscription. And the Billboard's free, so it's at every home.
Okay, then you've got the interview questions, we're supposed to post those ahead of time.
I say stick with Sam was.
All right.
Anything else for that one? Can we please send Sam a card of thanks?
you can save yourself a seat.
But in all serious, we will miss you, and thank you
How
for
many years have
your
you been doing this, girl?
years of service.
I don't know, I tried to get out like 3 times now.
So a long time.
4, 2 terms?
I've had to, well, the first year I ran, it was only for 1 year.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
We'll go for it, sounds good.
Too
But
long.
thank you.
Too long with too many little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for your dedication to the city. And now you're doing the county? Dedication to the county?
So it's just a little
I've been
different.
with the county since 2012, but now I'm doing more night meetings there than I had previously been doing.
Okay.
All right, on to number 18, the common council may convene in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility for purposes of discussing the planning and development director position. Can I get a motion to run to closed?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Sam, second by Terry, roll call please.
Hill.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Frisbee.
Aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
Sorensen.
Aye.
Stubby.
Aye.
All right, moved into closed session. Oh, sorry, closed session at 8:54.